We have a club. Those are
Mhm.
businessmen. Once in a while, they invite me. I'd speak, we do hypnosis. They also have, they call it discussion club. You have to be open to questions. So they'll just will start asking, which I like. So what I usually do, short presentation, we do hypnosis, and then usually like 2-3 hours discussion. I don't think there is a person younger than 60. They're all mature, have lots of experience. They're all
Mhm.
self-made. Those are not old money. They're all
Mhm.
they never inherited anything. By now, I know them as individuals better because we had so many conversations. They all came from really, really poor childhood. There was
But they're
struggle.
successful now. But they're
They're
successful.
very wealthy, but all of them came from very poor childhood, like living on the street, not having food, all sorts of traumas. Big success does not come to where there is not enough pain, I think.
If you think about it, let's say if I were to compare it to a parallel in my life, okay, I grew up with a single mom, right? My parents were divorced, first generation American. We were on a very limited income. When I got older, I had to pay for my phone, I had to babysit. If I wanted to go ice skating, roller skating, I had to make the money. I mean, it was just plain and simple, just like that. The companies that I worked for, they ended up paying for my college. There's a drive. I think there's an underlying drive. I don't know if it's the need or your like survival, but that whole momentum of feeling this, okay, I have to do the work. If I want to go here, I have to do this, I have to do that. That begins to give you certain skills and capabilities. At that point, your mindset may not even be of, I want to be successful. You're just trying to get ahead.
You're
And so many
chased by
years.
fear and pain. Everybody can say, I have goals, I have dreams, but not everybody proceeds with their
Mhm.
plans. I think there has to be something chasing you. You have to be trying to escape something. And because you're faced with those challenges, with struggles, you know the difference.
It's a big motivating factor.
Exactly. Or I have to work to get out. Or this is how I'm going to live. If it's painful enough, yes, that's a whole motivation you need, really.
That example, you can see it with med students. A lot of times, these students have been very good book smart, very savvy, very intelligent. But then all of a sudden, something in their life doesn't go well. They don't get the appropriate grades, and they're used to being successful. They fall apart. They don't have the skills to deal with adversity. And I see more often than not, people that have gone through trials and tribulation will be successful in that process because you're building these skills, you're learning these skills along the way. You don't have a choice. You may not be even chasing success. It's just, I need to survive. I need to buy food. I need to go to school. And how can I get there? You hear med students killing themselves. And I go, why would you kill yourself if you didn't get the right grade or whatever? Obviously, some of these things, if they don't get the right grade, they don't get to go to the school, they don't get accepted or whatever. But there's always some kind of way around things. But because they've always had been successful, they don't know how to deal with the
Yeah.
adversity that comes along. And then if you've gone through a lot of stuff since you were young, you build a skill set.
Another trait that I noticed, all of them have, and again, they're all older, they're already so successful, nothing they can do to lose that, okay? Let's say.
Mhm.
They don't need to work anymore. They are so eager to learn. There's gentleman like 85 years old, he's in a wheelchair. Every time I start speaking, all of them, every single, sits with a notepad and taking notes. Like, who am I to teach them anything? They're all with eyes like this, taking notes, asking questions. When I show them practices, they don't see it like this. You've had those clients too. None of them does it. They actively doing everything I say. And they have this natural curiosity, I guess. When we do practices, They're like children. There's
Okay.
absolutely no judgment. They don't act like snobs.
Hmm.
They're like children playing. This is what it looks like. They get excited at little things. Did you feel that?
Excited.
I felt the goosebumps too. Mind that they're all millionaires. Like, oh, I felt goosebumps running through my spines too. Oh my gosh, this is so interesting. you know?
Hmm.
Help me understand. Did I get it right? This is what they usually ask. Let me
Like that.
ask
Help
you
me
another
understand.
question. I really want to understand how that works. And even when some of them booking appointments after our events,
Hmm.
again, the difference, on the call, very often people say, no, it's not going to work for me. Here, they don't say no. They say, I really want this appointment. Let's make it happen. Help me figure it out. And then they'll say whatever conditions, I can't leave a office during daytime, or I'm a really busy person, or I'll be gone on a business trip at this time.
What did you just say?
Help
Let
me
me
figure it out how to make it
help me
happen.
figure it out.
Yeah.
You make
Did
the
you?
effort.
Yeah, and they say what they mean. They don't play, manipulative games.
So the word has weight. Their word is their bond. It has weight. I'm writing all this stuff down. So look at all these attributes: successful, difficult childhood, open to learning, natural curiosity, like a child, no judgment, not snobby, excited. Let me ask you another question. Help me figure it out.
Another thing happened this time. They had few presenters, the club invited, and one didn't make. The organizer asked us, can someone fill it in? Because it was last minute cancellation. So 11, no, 12 people, 11 of them, and I'm 12th. All of them said, I cannot do this without preparation. I'm not ready. Those are experienced people, coaches and therapists. I did it, of course, but I was
Mhm.
shocked that none of them wanted to. None of them grabbed that opportunity. I got paid twice
So what
as
do you
more.
think? They weren't confident enough in presenting?
Maybe different things for different people, lack of confidence. Although they came to present, they did their thing. Maybe that narrow mindedness, how we advise to niche. They cannot talk about anything outside of it.
Yeah.
Although even here they could just continue talk on their topic. I don't understand. I don't understand. How can you not find anything to talk about for 2-3 hours?
Interesting.
Who was supposed to come? So it was a sexologist. The topic
Oh,
was the topic was sexuality for seniors. So
what did you incorporate some tantra?
I'm like, yeah, I said, he said kind of awkward, but I will have to explain that we lost that presenter. Like, don't say anything. I'll fill it in. And I'm like, do you think they would be open to tantric practices?
Hmm.
they were. They were. I showed them how to run energy, how to feel things. We harmonized chakra. Even that 85 years old man in a wheelchair. So they're like between each other cracking jokes, like at my age, there is no hope and stuff. So he said, let's work with what we have and get what we can. The way it happened in young years will never happen for me, but I can feel something. And I want that.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I've learned so much from them. I've learned so much. Yeah, work with what you have and get what you can, what's available to you. It's still better than nothing.
I'm glad you're sharing that.
Opportunities show up. You may have to be ready for presentation overnight or just on the fly. There gotta be something that really fires you up. This is the best topic. What do you annoy your friends with all the time? That's probably it. Yeah, what do you bring up all the time and nobody can listen to it anymore? That's it.
Yeah, it goes back to that self-awareness again. This is the way I always compare it. If you were born with a light bulb over your head that's red all your life, you probably don't know any better. Now you may walk into a room and everybody stares at you and you're like, what are they staring at? And it's because you're walking around with a red bulb on your head. And people are like, oh, look at her. She's walking around, she's this and that. But because it's part of you, you don't really pay attention or you don't recognize that having that red light bulb over your head is something
Taking
special.
it for
Yeah,
granted.
taking it for
Yeah.
granted. And I think the more and more I love working in LP, and the more and more I work with it, just realize how we are so limited in our perception or our blind spots. I'll get really smart, intellectual people that are fluent or whatever. And then when they have those shifts of awareness, it's like, I never thought of that, or I never looked at it that way, or, and it was in my face, right? And we do that. We go around. So that was interesting because as you're telling me all these observations you made, we don't look at reality through those filters. We look at it, we come in with our own perceptions, right? Or whatever we're focusing on. We're looking for the map rather than the territory. And reality is like that. It's whatever we focus on, we'll find more of it or we'll concentrate on that. So now lately, what I'm trying to do is that what is reality trying to show me? That's my question I ask myself today. What is reality trying to show me? So that I can start practicing more and more for myself to capture more things out of my filter, out of my model of the world. And it's unbelievable what you begin to capture and see and comes in for you.
That's how we open to receiving more information instead of filtering out what doesn't fit in our view, in our model of the world. It's a skill. You can start with simple steps. You're coming out outside. Yes, clouds. You've seen them every day. Everybody knows what's cloud. But this particular one, what is the shape? What is the color? Is it white? How do you know that it's white? Who told you that it's white? Because everyone says that it's white. Does it really mean that it's really white? Then you look, there is little bleaks of pink and yellow and gray and blue. It's not purely white. Again, approach it as a curious child. Forget about all your experience. Put aside all your filters that you've built through the life.
Think of the creators and the inventors. That's how Einstein and Ben Franklin, they were exploring. They're like, okay, what is this like? And what else can it do? And how do we get it to do this? You know, it's curiosity. It is. It's a curiosity and wonder. When you really, really hone it and you pay attention to your surroundings and you do approach it from that curiosity, it's like, oh, the world is not how I learned it to be or was programmed to be or was conditioned to be. It brings in a lot of freedom. It provides a lot of freedom.
One of my little weird things that I do, I like to replicate food that I've seen someplace but never had.
Mhm.
Maybe in a movie or in a magazine or in a commercial. Would see it like it looks really good. In
Mhm.
reality, I have no idea what it is, what it's made of, how it tastes. I only seen the picture. I'm going to make something at home that looks exactly like this. Okay? So one of my friends is owner of a restaurant. I've seen his dessert menu. There's 12 items maybe. So I ordered one cake, but I really like how the other looks. Of course, I thought I'm going to have it next time. But then weekend came and I decided I'm going to make a cake just like this. Just happened so that he came in to talk. I have your dessert. I made your dessert. Like, how could you make my dessert? We don't share our recipes. Family secret. Like, I made it. I'm pulling out from the fridge. His face turned white. It looks exactly like on the picture. And then he started and he said, I have cognitive dissonance. It's a like completely different world. It's delicious, but completely different. What else is possible to be done this way in life? How can we recreate the experiences that look certain way in other people's lives? And we think we have to be born to rich family, we have to have that education, we have to have these resources, we have to be in that country. But if you like the picture, you can create that picture with what you have and you can make it taste the way you want to.
That's fascinating. Is tweaking our own design inside our person. It's tweaking us to be able to see the possibilities that it doesn't have to be a certain way, right? You don't have to follow the recipe. You can create on your own. And it really gets you out of that box, that limiting box. That makes me think a lot, Gazalia. That is deep. And the more you open those possibilities or shifts of perception, the more options and the more worlds and the more opportunities we have. And that also gets me thinking about how some people do stay stagnated then in their conditioned world for some of those that do stay, stuck. I've always said the limitations are in the mind. I went to my kids, limits are here. Limitations are in your mind, and they are. I would say it, but I didn't have the knowledge that I have today to back up that statement. And I wonder if I brought that into my reality, saying that all the time. Limitations are in the mind.
Life limitations exist, either government, certain conditions, people, our own family members impose limitations on us, but we have a brain to figure the way out. We're not animals.
Mhm.
We have brain. And maybe this is our life lesson, how to overcome those limitations.
Mhm. Absolutely. I read the book, I think it was Mindset. That book brought in a lot of clarity for me. It puts into perspective like people that are successful in certain areas of life. I like classical music and instrumental music and everything. And I've visited violinists, and Joshua Bell came here to Indiana. And my goodness, the guy is, aside from being handsome, he's an amazing violinist. Amazing. But if you get to see how he's become so successful, there's hours and hours and hours of practice. Obviously, some people bring a little gift or more talent to the table, but if you really want something, you are able to learn and do it. But there is effort that you have to put forth and work. Yeah, because I was just reading about him, and Yo-Yo Ma's another violinist, and their hours of practice are incredible, like incredible, the amount of hours. And now they're renowned and they're known for being, experts in their area, but a lot of practice time.
She was an athlete, runner, champion in Soviet Union. I
Mhm.
don't remember her name. Her parents died in some accident. Her grandmother alone raised her. She became athlete. This is how I got into sports school. What do you call? Were you supposed to exercise and play sports in regular school? What do you call this?
Like
In
physical education,
yeah,
PE, or
physical. Yeah, yeah. So we have those. I think twice a week. Trainers would come and observe and pick you out if they believe that you have a potential. So this is how I was picked out, and she too was picked out. But she was very successful. Although she said she hated. She was a runner for long distance. She said she always hated. But
oh,
there are certain benefits to being in sports school. My parents insisted on me staying
Mhm.
there too for those benefits. You get fed, you travel a lot, you clothed top to bottom, you're provided different things. Even medical care, although medical care was free in Soviet Union, here you checked all the time, provided supplementation, your nutrition's calculated. So she was in that sports school and she fell in love and they were dating for a while and she was sure they are going to get married. And then he broke up with her and he told her that his parents against their marriage because parents achieved some level of success, they were known, and they want someone at the same level for their son.
Wow.
Straightforward, he told her that. So she's all heartbroken, coming home, crying to grandmother, telling all this. And then instead of feeling sorry or comforting, grandmother turns around and says, let's think about it. It's true, you're a nobody. You don't even have parents. We live in two-room apartment in a bad neighborhood. We barely pay our bills. You don't even have a good clothing. You're a nobody. So she says, it really sunk deep. And she thought she was going to quit running. She finished school, she wanted to go to some college, and she didn't think she was going to continue running. But because of that conversation, she said, this is only place I know where I can succeed even though I hate it. And she stuck with this, and yet she became
So
champion
she
of
was fueled. Was it need or was it because of the
rejection, need,
uh-huh.
realization of what's really going on. People say truth is subjective. We
Hmm.
all experience life through our own lens. Maybe this is a part of the problem. It can be your power, but it can be your weakness. Truth is truth, doesn't matter how you look at it. If you see your life for what it is, maybe then you can make better choices, take right steps to change it.
But interesting how the grandmother didn't sugarcoat it. She
Yeah,
said,
didn't feel sorry. Just, yeah, you're nobody.
yeah, it's a fact. I mean, the information is this bothers them. They're living their own truth. They're seeing you. This is the fact. This is truth, the way it is.